In a school where there is a high pupil mobility rate and a high percentage of pupils with English as an additional language, how can a teacher successfully include and engage with each child?
I'm going to take my shape.
Cleveland Junior School, alongside other schools in Redbridge Network Learning Community, have developed a programme entitled Safe, Settled and Valued to induct and settle its mobile pupils. As a result, its teachers are unfazed by the school's 30% pupil mobility rate, 98% ethnic minority population, and 90% of its pupils having English as an additional language.
Providing for the child as they walk through the door, whether it's the beginning of the school term or any other point during the year, is so important, because if you don't meet the needs of that child the minute they arrive, then it is quite likely that the potential that they have is lost, that they won't settle in very well, they won't perform to the best of their ability.
For both parent and child, the first visit to a new school can be daunting.
Hello, good morning.
I was so scared. I never seen nothing before in my whole life like that.
We have an early admin interview in which the family gets the opportunity to share some information with a member of our admin staff. That way we find out details about a child's first language.
Language is spoken at home.
Yes, Somali.
We can get details about if they've had any other schooling in this country or in another country, which again has all sorts of implications in terms of how we deal with that child when the child comes into school. We also in that interview can find out information about the status in the country, whether or not they are asylum seekers or refugees, and we may then be able to set up a support network to help the families settle in.
Does Hawa need any special educational needs?
نعم waxbarashada gabartan ma u baahan tahay wax oo in gacan la siiyo oo wax oo mise kaliya barabar mise waxay u baahan inay gacan la siiyo. Yes, she does.
The children don't actually start school on the day that they come in with parents to fill in the admissions form. The class teacher's normally given about 3 days to prepare for the child's arrival, which means that they've got time to make sure they've got any equipment or books, that trays are labelled for them.
Okay, class 6. On Monday, we are going to be having a new girl joining our class. Her name is Hawa. Can we all say Hawa? Hawa! Brilliant, well done. So Hawa... We do have a lot of children coming and going within the school, but we have very good induction practices in place so that we are able to explain to the class before a new child arrives that they have a new member of the class coming in. And so we're able to explain to them where they're coming from, where they're going to be sitting, so that when the child arrives on the first day, it's not really an issue. Does anybody have any questions?
Which teacher is bringing her in?
Mrs. Pancholi will be bringing her into class, introducing her to us on Monday morning.
Okay, Baba.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello, I'm Mrs. Pancholi. Nice to meet you.
Yeah.
Hello, Hawa, how are you? On the child's first day at school, usually myself or a colleague will go down, introduce ourselves to the parent and the child, and then we'll give them a tour of the school so they've got a sense of what the environment looks like, because it may be very different to what they're used to, especially if a child went to a school in another country.
There were so many numbers and so many lighting like literacy. I never knew what literacy meant.
Thank you. Sit down, Hawa.
Before I came to this school, I thought the teachers would be rude and kind. When I got to the school, they were so kind and helpful.
I'm going to give you some information about the school so you know how things work at Cleveland. Okay, I've got this for you as well.
Cleveland print their school prospectus in a number of different languages and include visual information references to aid non-English speaking parents.
The school day finishes at 3:15 and Hawa's teacher will take her to the playground and I will show you where you can pick her up at the end of the day. Okay? The children are expected to wear school uniform. We have no tie or blazer, but school colours are blue and white. So for the girls, they can either wear trousers, blue shalwar kameez or a blue skirt.
Okay.
Hello, Miss
By the time a new child is introduced to a class, all are prepared for their arrival.
This is Mrs. Lloyd, your teacher, and this is Mr. Almy,
Hello.
Howard's father.
Okay.
If I can leave Howard with
Yep.
you.
Okay.
And we're just going to go out to the playground.
This is Ilhan. Okay, do you want to sit down here? And Ilhan's going to be your buddy. Okay, and we've got Minahil and we've got Shanna as well. Can we all say hello to Hawa for me? Hello! Brilliant, okay. Okay, now, this is what we're going to do for our main activity. We are going...
Circle time is a useful vehicle for both new and established children in the class to learn about one another.
We are going to tell our friend 3 things about ourselves. Off you go.
The new child will be buddied up with another child, preferably one who speaks the same language, and that other child will show them around, make sure they're okay in the playground, show them where the dinner hall is and the toilets, and just make sure that they're okay in class, and that if they have any concerns or questions and they don't feel comfortable on the first day speaking to the class teacher, that there is another child there who will provide them with the support that they need.
And they often quite like having somebody new in class because it's somebody else to focus on, and they're very good at inviting them in and making them feel welcome. And when somebody leaves, equally, it's quite a sad occasion often because they've been with them for a while. So Ilham, did you find out 3 things about Hawa? Okay, Ilham, 3 things about Hawa.
Hawa's dad is Somalian, and her favourite colour is purple.
And Hawa, did you find anything out about Ilham?
Her favourite colour is blue.
Yep.
Somebody else was in my class that was new, I will tell them to not be shy.
Brilliant. Okay, we're going to have one more. Let's have...
Assalamu alaikum, हम उर्दू बोलते हैं। Ciao, parlo italiano. Sat Sri Akal, मैं पंजाबी.
Cleveland pupils are sensitively introduced to their school in class. But how does the teacher then work with new pupils and accommodate the huge range of English-speaking abilities that they can find before them?
Try and write the next 2 instructions. When I'm in class teaching on my own, I have a range of strategies that I can use to deal with bilingual or children with English as an additional language. Roberta, she's been here just over a month now, and she's the only child who speaks Italian. I buddied her up with somebody who is a very good English speaker so that she has that modelling.
Look, Roberta, if you don't do that, look, you want.
Where she's working in groups, again, I try and ensure that there are a range of abilities within the group, so she is able to listen to the language being used, assimilate the language that's being used, and at the same time she's able to view the activity being put into practice. So where she feels confident to, she will participate, and where she would prefer just to sit back and just to view what's going on, then equally it's a safe environment for her to do that as well.
Okay, did you draw the line straight away? ترتيب yeah? ما ترتب ما ترتب الكرتة, and then you just do it again. ترتيب, yeah? دي بس مثلا. Well done.
We have a bilingual teaching assistant in school, and I was able to direct him to work with Roberta because he speaks Italian and he also speaks Somali.
Di quella parte, giusto? Va bene? E poi come farà? Questa parte qua, giusto, no? Ma stai attenta, hai capito?
So she was receiving the modelling of the English whilst at the same time he was bridging the understanding in the activity that was being done. When a child first arrives, if they have very little English or they are in the early stages of English, then they do tend to go through a silent period where they're just getting used to their surroundings and getting used to the children and just listening to the language being spoken.
Cleveland has invested in 4 EAL teachers. 1 is assigned to each year group.
Yep, always. It tends to be that they will take a team teaching role, so they will teach alongside the class teacher and they will prepare resources which they feel are appropriate for EAL children or new starters. Okay, so
we are going to have a go at seeing if we know the names of different things that we might find in our houses, okay? As a general rule, we don't tend to withdraw children for English language support. The only children that are withdrawn are those at the early stages of English language development, and they're taken out for a short period of time each week to work on the induction programme, but that would be no more than 1 session a week. And the aim of that is to increase their competency in all 4 of the English language areas. That programme encompasses a wide range of activities. It may include them going out to the shops, it may include them doing artwork, it may be including them doing literacy or numeracy, it could be playing English language games, and they usually work in groups on that with other children who are roughly at the same level as they are. OK, oh, I wonder what Dorian's got. Right, I wonder if anyone knows what that is. Fatima, what's that? Good girl, well done.
Okay, what I'm going to be doing this morning is demonstrating to you how to make lassi. Put your hands up for me if you've heard of what lassi is.
I think it's really important that children that are new to the school are settled or feel settled as quickly as possible. And I think one of the ways that you can do this is trying to include into the lesson something to help them identify with their culture.
Give it a stir, and then we're finished. We all know how to do it now because we've actually done it. But we need to think about all those features that Miss and you have put up on the board when we're writing our instructions.
Another way that you can try and support EAL children when you're doing worksheets and things is just to try and include as many visual prompts as possible. So if you're giving a set of instructions, include the visual picture, because even if the EAL child can understand a few of the words in your sentence, they'll be able to understand what the whole sentence means by actually looking at what the picture's showing them.
Balraj, can you read it?
When a new child arrives, it's obviously going to take us a bit of time to determine which level they're working at. So we try not to assume that they are working at a lower ability purely because they don't have the language to express themselves. So we usually put them into a group that is perhaps a middle ability group where the resources are visual and are there to support their language and also enable them to show what it is they can and cannot do in that particular subject.
Superb, well done.
The work that you do with them in the small groups, it does raise their confidence because number one, they've done it already. They've understood it, you've sat and you've explained it, they've explained it back to you, they've done the work. And in that particular situation where the rest of the class hadn't actually come across the time connectives as yet, they hadn't been introduced to it, it actually raises their confidence because they're the 6 children in the whole class, the only 6 in the whole class that actually know about time connectives and can tell you about them and can tell the rest of their peers. And it just makes them, you know, I suppose it gives them a chance to show off what they've just learned, which is nice for them.
Fatima, which one do you fancy?
We have to be realistic about mobility. Quite often, the reasons why children move or parents move are out of our control. The best that we can do is that when they are actually here is to ensure that we provide them with the best learning environment possible. One where the children feel safe, where they feel secure, where they feel valued, where they feel equal to everybody else.
Roberta?
Finally.
Finally, good girl. Finally and lastly. Well done. Does it matter, Keshav?